All right, let's talk about two of the biggest headaches that businesses are dealing with right now. First, you've got data that's all locked up in different departments. And second, you've got AI that gives you answers, but no explanation. So today, we're going to figure out how to get from that chaos to some real clarity. Okay, so let's just dive right in. Every single company out there is swimming in data. But here's the question you've got to ask yourself. Is all that data an asset, something that's helping you move faster? Or is it actually an anchor, just weighing you down with more complexity and confusion? And this is where we get to this really strange paradox that so many businesses are stuck in. We collect mountains and mountains of data because we think it's going to give us clear answers. But what happens when the solution, the data itself, becomes the problem? Well, that's exactly what you get when your data is fragmented, inaccessible, and, let's be honest, just impossible to make sense of. So the first half of this challenge really comes down to these invisible walls that get built up inside an organization. It's the reason your marketing team has no idea what the sales team is up to, and neither of them has a clear picture of what's happening over in customer support. And yeah, there's a name for this: data silos. Basically, they're just these isolated pockets of data that nobody shares across the company. Imagine every team has one piece of a giant puzzle, but they're all locked in separate rooms. No one can ever see the whole picture. So where do these walls even come from? Well, it's usually a mix of things. Sometimes it's the very structure of the company, with separate departments. A lot of the time it's fragmented technology, like old legacy systems that just don't talk to the new ones. And honestly, sometimes it's just the culture, this idea of data ownership that keeps people from sharing. And the price you pay for these silos? Oh, it is huge. It leads to bad, uninformed decisions. It absolutely crushes team productivity because everyone's just wasting time hunting for information. And maybe worst of all, it creates a terrible, disjointed experience for your customers who have to keep explaining the same thing over and over to different teams. Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. The really crucial question then becomes, what do you do about it? How do you actually start tearing down these invisible walls? Well, the answer, or at least a huge part of it, is this really powerful strategy called revenue operations. You'll probably hear it called RevOps. So what is RevOps? In a nutshell, it's all about alignment. It's a game plan to get every single customer-facing team, we're talking marketing, sales, customer success, all working from the same playbook with the same goals and using the exact same unified data. And this is where you can really see the magic happen. A good RevOps strategy, which is usually powered by something like a central CRM, goes after each of those silo problems directly. You got a lack of collaboration? Bam, you get a centralized platform. Your data's fragmented all over the place? RevOps helps you create a single unified view. It's basically a practical blueprint for knocking down those walls. So you did it. You tore down the walls, you unified all your data. Problem solved, right? Well, not so fast. See, when you bring all that data together, you often run into a brand new problem. You start getting these really powerful insights, but how the system came up with those insights, well, that can be a complete mystery. And that brings us to the second crisis, the black box problem. We feed all of our newly unified data into these powerful AI models, and the AI might tell us something amazing, like this customer is about to churn, or this deal is definitely going to close. But it almost never tells us the one thing we really need to know. Why? And listen to this quote. It just nails the problem. It says that, without an explanation, people just aren't going to trust the technology. And it makes perfect sense, right? If your team doesn't trust the insights, it doesn't matter how accurate they are. They're just not going to use them. I mean, think about it. It really boils down to this simple question. We all know that trust requires transparency. So if an AI tells you to make some huge business decision, but it can't explain its reasoning, you're pretty much just flying blind. So how do we fix this crisis of trust? Well, thankfully, there's a solution. It's a whole field called explainable AI, or you'll see it called XAI. And yet, the name pretty much says it all. XAI is just a set of tools and techniques designed specifically to crack open that black box and make an AI's thinking process actually understandable to a person. Its entire job is to answer that one crucial question: why? Okay, let's make this real. Take a look at this chart. This is XAI in action. It's breaking down exactly why an AI made a certain prediction. Think of each bar as a piece of evidence. See the red bars? Those are all the things that push the prediction one way. And the blue bars? They're the things that pulled it in the other direction. All of a sudden, the AI's answer isn't a mystery anymore. It's a clear, transparent calculation you can actually understand and debate. And this isn't some academic theory, okay? This stuff is already being used, built right into the business dashboards people use every day. Look at this example. It shows a list of influencers that are explaining in real time why a certain cost is predicted to be high or low. This turns a simple number into real, actionable intelligence that a manager can actually trust. Okay, so let's bring this all together. We've talked about two huge data challenges, silos and black boxes, and we've seen two really powerful solutions that actually work together. Think of it like this. RevOps and XAI are two sides of the same coin. First, RevOps comes in and unifies your data. It breaks down those organizational walls and gives you a single source of truth. Then, XAI steps in and explains the insights you get from that data. It cracks open the black box and gives you a source of trust. One gives you clarity, the other gives you confidence. And at the end of the day, you absolutely need both to win. Because without unified data, any insights you have are incomplete. And without trusted AI, those insights are basically useless. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. When you look at your own organization, are you building walls with your data? Or are you building the bridges that lead to a clearer, more trusted future?